Imagine this. Someone asks you a simple question in English. Maybe at work, maybe with a friend, maybe with a stranger on the street. The question is easy. You know the answer. You've known words like this for years. But something stops you. A few seconds pass. Then a few more. And suddenly, the moment is gone. They've already moved on. And you're still standing there with the answer in your head that never made it to your mouth. That feeling, that gap between what you know and what you can say. That's what this video is about, because that gap has a name. And once you understand it, you can close it. Let's start with something important, something most people never hear. Your English is not the problem. Read that again. Your English is not the problem. You understand movies. You follow conversations. You read articles in English every day. That's not nothing. That's actually a lot. So why can't you speak? Here's the first thing you need to understand. Speaking is not the same as knowing. Your mind already has the answer, but your body just freezes. Like the connection between knowing and saying got cut somewhere. You trained your mind to understand, but you never trained your mouth to move. Think about it this way. You can watch someone swim for years. You can study every technique. You can understand exactly how it works. But the first time you get in the water, your body doesn't know what to do. It's the same with speaking. Your mouth doesn't know how to move yet. Not because you're not smart enough. Not because your English is bad. But because no one ever trained it. Now here's something that might surprise you. Most people who struggle to speak English, they're not struggling because they lack words. They're struggling because they're protecting themselves. Think about the last time you stayed quiet. Was it really because you didn't know the word? Or was it because you were afraid of something? Afraid of making a mistake. Afraid of sounding strange. Afraid that if you opened your mouth, something embarrassing would come out. Silence feels safe. And that's completely understandable. But here's what silence costs you. Every time you choose silence, you teach your brain one thing. Speaking is risky. And after a while, your brain starts doing it automatically. You don't even decide to stay silent anymore. It just happens. There's a moment most English learners know very well. You're in a conversation. Someone says something funny. You understand it perfectly. You even have a response ready. But by the time you decide to say it, the conversation has moved on. And you laugh a little, like you understood less than you actually did. And inside, you think, I had something to say. Why didn't I say it? That moment costs more than people realize. Because it's not just one moment. It happens again. And again. And again. And slowly, without noticing, you stop expecting yourself to speak. After a while, you stop trying to join the conversation. You just wait for it to end. You become the person who listens, who understands everything, who says very little. It's exhausting. And part of you starts to believe, maybe this is just who I am. But it's not who you are. It's who you became, because of a pattern. And patterns can change. Here's something most English courses never tell you. The way most people practice English actually makes speaking harder, not easier. Think about how you study. You listen to podcasts, you watch videos, you read articles. All of that is input. You're putting English into your brain. But speaking is output. And input and output are completely different muscles. That's why you can understand a whole movie alone in your room. But freeze the moment someone is actually waiting for you to answer. Same English. Different situation. and suddenly nothing comes out. You've been training your listening, your reading, your understanding, but your speaking muscle, the one that moves your mouth, finds the word, forms the sentence. That muscle hasn't been trained, not because you were lazy, because no one told you it was a different muscle. Maybe you felt this too. This strange thing where you know more than you think, but it never feels like enough. It's always almost enough, but not yet. Most people who struggle to speak imagine themselves as empty, like they need to study more before they're ready. But that's not the problem. The problem is access. The English is there. You just can't reach it fast enough when someone is looking at you and waiting. That's not emptiness. That's a traffic jam. The words are all there. They just can't get out in time. And a traffic jam doesn't get better by adding more cars. It gets better by learning how to move. So here's the question. If the problem isn't knowledge, if it's the gap between knowing and speaking, how do you close it? The answer is smaller than you think. You don't need a new course. You don't need more vocabulary. You don't need to wait until your English is perfect. You need to start moving your mouth. Not perfectly, not fluently, not impressively. Just moving. Because every time you speak, even badly, even slowly, even with mistakes, you are training the muscle. And little by little, speaking stops feeling dangerous. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to wait until you're ready. Maybe just, next time someone asks you something, let the answer come out. Even if it's slow, even if it's not perfect, maybe this time it doesn't stay in your head. Tell me in the comments, when does your English freeze the most? I read every comment, and I'll see you in the next video.